There was an Elliott Smith song that I found useful.
And I'm trying to listen to Elliott Smith.
We want to do an Elliott Smith song.
Elliott Smith, heartbreaking, beautiful songs. The melody's genius.
I'm the wrong kind of person to be really big and famous, Elliott Smith once said. In many ways, that single line frames the story of his life. A soft-spoken musician navigating a world that constantly asked him to be louder.
What's your favorite?
He was often compared to the Beatles, Jeff Buckley, and Nick Drake, even though he definitely had his own melancholic and original sound. His soft voice and fascinating chord moves led to some outstanding songs. Unfortunately, he died at the young age of 34 due to mysterious circumstances that have caused speculation among some people. If you've seen my older video essay on his life, or perhaps the documentary Heaven Adores You, you know the story. In this video, we'll go a little deeper into the story of his early bands and solo career. I'll also cover some of his songs on my electric and acoustic guitars to find out what separates him from other artists. This is the life and sound of Elliott Smith. Born in Omaha and raised in Dallas after his parents split, music was woven into Elliott's childhood. Or Steven's childhood, I should say. He didn't change his name until many years later. He played piano with his mother, picked up drums, and eventually discovered the guitar at 14, learning songs by ear from records that he loved. His early teens were marked by a growing passion for songwriting and fingerpicking on the acoustic guitar, long before he found his voice.
He was putting songs together, I think, when he was 10 or 11, somewhere in that neighborhood. He was a baker during the summertime when he was going to high school. He worked for a bakery there in Portland.
Elliott didn't get along with his stepfather, and by 8th or 9th grade he moved to Portland, Oregon, a place that would later define his musical identity. Oregon gave him space, friends, and the beginning of his creative collaborations. Together with Garrick Duckler, Jason Hornick, and later on Tony Lash, Elliott formed the band Stranger Than Fiction in high school. They were known as Harum Scarum and A Murder of Crows for a short time as well. They produced several early recordings between 1985 and 89. Some of the early songs actually have a lot of resemblance to Elliott Smith's later work. Just check out the chord progression in Halfway to Forever from the band's first album, Mudhen. It sounds a bit like Ballad of Big Nothing, if you ask me. Sure, it doesn't have the same quality or emotional impact as the songs that Elliott would later release as a solo artist years later, but the potential for that is what you can hear when you listen to the stuff. Another great example is the song Instinctual Disjunction. There's some really impressive piano playing by Elliott here. The first third of the song is just him completely ripping it on the piano. Elliott's early music was raw and very rough, and friends joked that he sounded a bit like Joe Strummer with a cold, or Elvis Costello.
Elvis Costello has no idea how much I totally needed his records, you know.
He was searching for his own singing style, but he wasn't quite there yet. After high school, Elliott spent time in Massachusetts, attending Hampshire College and meeting Neil Gust, with whom he formed the band Heat Miser. This was in October of 1991.
Why are you here? Couldn't you tell him? Were you afraid he'd hear?
Portland in the 90s had a small but vibrant music scene centered around a handful of venues like Satyricon, X-Ray, and Blue Gallery, and they would frequently play shows here. Heat Miser became known to some people as the quote-unquote Fugazi of Portland, a loud, aggressive counterpoint to the intimate acoustic songs that Elliott was quietly writing on his own. The band consisted of Elliott on guitar and vocals, Tony Lash on drums, Neil Gust on guitar and vocals, and Brant Peterson on bass. Sam Coombs would later fill in on bass after Peterson left the band. I was listening to Antonio Carlos Jobim. It has this rhythm guitar that's panned to the left. It sounds like it's finger picked, and you know, Elliott Smith he loves finger picking. It has this very simple progression. It's literally 4 chords. It's not even chords. It's just kind of little small harmonies that are broken apart. The picking pattern is the same all the way through. It's pluck, thumb, thumb, pluck, thumb, thumb, pluck, thumb. And it goes like that throughout the entire thing. So if you've done some finger picking from before, then the song is going to be very easy to learn, I think. Over time, Elliott grew more and more distant from the band. They didn't want to play heavy music anymore, and so he would record stuff on his own. Those private recordings would eventually become Roman Candle in 1994. Friends were stunned when they heard the softer material, unlike anything Elliott had shown before. Slim Moon of the Kill Rockstars record label famously said that if you only listen to Elliott's early solo albums, it kind of sounds like Simon and Garfunkel, though others compared it to Nick Drake.
Everyone is gone home to oblivion.
Heat Miser would continue to release albums like Dead Air in 93, Cop and Speeder in 94, and their final album, Mike Citizens, in 96. But Elliott's heart was drifting towards something different, as you can tell. By Roman Candle in 94, Elliott had finally found his voice. It was a gradual development. Can you imagine that the guy that sounded like this just a few years back?
She took the Oakdale Ridge long past Condor Avenue. She locked the car and slid back.
Now sounded like this.
She took the Oldsmobile out past Condor Avenue and she locked the car and slid back.
It's night and day, in my opinion. As he began performing his solo songs at shows, audiences were stunned. It wasn't cool at the time to listen to one guy with a guitar, especially in the height of the grunge era. But listeners who actually paid attention recognized something unique. Even skeptical morning hosts who made fun of him at first quickly realized that there was something special going on.
Elliott Smith, real talented, though not yet a household name, on Breakfast Time.
Elliott Smith is here with us. Are we getting this right? Kill Rockstars?
Right. It's a punk label.
Feeling a little hostile, are we, Elliott?
It's not my label.
You say that your music's not loud, but it tends to be kind of angry.
Yeah, some of it.
I noticed on the cover, but people are jumping off buildings, and I'm wondering if that's...
It's a statue.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a good approach to deal with your problems. I mean...
I don't know, it just looked good.
The stunt people didn't think so. What are you going to sing for us from the CD?
It's called Clementine.
Elliott Smith.
Cool.
Seems a long time gone.
The song might come off as really sad if you just listen to the lyrics. It talks about a troublesome relationship, drinking, rain, winter. You can't really get more depressing or sad than that. But the chords and the melodies that he's coming up with, both his vocal and the guitar stuff he's doing, is just so serene and so beautiful. There's something about the flow between the chords and the structure of the song that really speaks to me. I think it speaks to a lot of other people as well because it's one of his most popular songs. Oh, shit, I need to tune my guitar here. So this is probably the best moment to talk about this. So the guitar, it can be tuned to different tunings, as you might know, and the tuning for this particular song is so odd, it's so weird. I've never seen it before, and I've played the guitar for 15 years. I've also been a teacher for a few years, and so yeah, it's very unique. There's this swing back and forth between the thumb and the other finger that you're using, slash fingers if you're using more than one finger. especially this part. You're down picking with the thumb on the E string. And then I'm using, in this case, my index finger, my pointer, to strum the lighter strings, the strings at the bottom of the neck. I strum them upwards. It's very nice. It's very, how do you say? It's very comforting to play this. I don't know the lyrics, but he will basically mimic the vocal melody with his guitar, and sometimes he will add additional melodic lines with the guitar that isn't parts that he will sing. So dreadful sorry. Learning his songs is one thing, but observing him playing them is another. We're very fortunate to have multiple live clips on YouTube. It's in these clips that his talent and personality really shines through.
Says I see a picture on $100 bill. What's the game to fuck? Backward in a pool of water, wishes with a blue songbird on his shoulder.
He was in Japan, he was in London, he was in Paris, he was making tours worldwide.
Now, Elliott never enjoyed touring or playing live shows. He told his colleagues this all the time. He was more into writing and recording songs, but he knew that he had to do the shows in order to continue writing, and so he did it anyway. He was recording his third album, Either Or, when he was still part of Heapmeister between 95 and 96. It was then released the following year on the Kill Rockstars label, and Heapmeister dissolved in 97. An interesting fact about Either Or is that Elliott played all the instruments on this album. He even did some mixing. In some ways, it kind of reminds me of the first Foo Fighters album where Dave Grohl recorded all the instruments, well, almost all the instruments himself. It was Either Or that would become Elliott's breakout album. Filmmaker Gus Van Sant decided to include his song Miss Misery in the film Good Will Hunting. 3 other songs were featured in the film as well, Between the Bars, Angelus, and Say Yes. But Miss Misery was the song that got nominated for Best Original Song at the 1998 Academy Awards.
Let's talk about this first and foremost, your contribution to the Good Will Hunting soundtrack. I'm assuming that happened since you're from Portland and Gus Van Sant is from Portland, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you guys were buddies?
Yeah, I knew him from there. He'd come see me play. He plays music too, and we'd like talk about, home recording stuff. He had a couple of my records, and eventually he put some of my songs in his movie.
Last summer, you played to about 40 people in the Rivoli in Toronto.
Right.
And working musician, and then boom, I'm watching the TV, and there you are holding hands with Celine Dion on the Academy Awards. What happened?
I wish I could say. It was pretty fun for a day. It was all these famous singers, and then who's that guy, with the dirty hair, who hasn't sold millions of records. What in the world is he doing there?
The unexpected spotlight pushed Elliott into national recognition. He was a household name now. He signed to DreamWorks and released his album XO later that year. Despite his success, Elliott struggled personally. Friends recalled heavy drinking, late night calls, and emotional distress. Some felt helpless and unsure how to support him. At one point, an intervention was attempted. His writing became more explicit, angrier, and more personal. Fame made his music popular, but he didn't know how to process this, it seemed like.
Are you succeeding then?
No. Not right now. But I think I might, I might.
The harmony is one of the things that makes the song stand out. And another thing is that it's a very repetitive song, but it's not really that boring. It repeats that same picking pattern over and over again. If you look at my hand here, I'm going thumb, and then I'm going down, up, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, and upstroke with my index finger in this case. I'm not 100% sure if this is the way Elliott is playing it, but that's the way I interpret it. And one of the things that can make it a little bit difficult is you want to make that downstroke and upstroke as consistent as possible. Elliott is superb at this. If you listen to the recording, it just sounds like the same thing happening again and again. You almost fall into this hypnotic state. After touring with the band to promote his album XO, he returned to Los Angeles to record Figure 8. Whenever he would play with his backing band at this time, his songs would be a little louder to fill the venues they were playing. Christian Brothers was one of the songs that he'd play live around this time. This was a song he released on his self-titled compilation album back in '95. An earlier recording with his band Heat Miser surfaced right before the making of Heaven Adores You, the documentary about him. I personally think that the Heat Miser version is the most powerful of the two. Something about the electric guitars gives the song an extra punch, and it goes to show that even though Elliott mostly wanted to record stripped down and quiet songs, he could still turn up the volume and give the audience a great listening experience. There's been some great covers of this one, particularly by one of my personal favorite bands, Queens of the Stone Age.
No bad dream fuckers gonna boss me around.
So this one particular riff in the song borrows from a line that you often see in polka music. Did you hear that? So you have that, and that's often associated with, you know, finger picking. Almost sounds like Obla-di Obla-da by the Beatles, which by the way is also influenced by polka, I believe. To just throw that line in there, that walking bass, is just so counterintuitive to a lot of other post-grunge and alternative rock music. And when I think about it, that might be one of the reasons why Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age was so fascinated by the song as well.
I took polka lessons for 2 years.
Did he show you anything that stuck?
After the release of Figure 8, Elliott went to LA, but he didn't feel comfortable there. So he planned only to stay a few months. He was kind of caught between the recognition and isolation at this point. As cameras and pressure intensified, those close to him noticed changes. Friends and collaborators like John Bryan described seeing Elliott appear fragile, forgetful, and apologetic mid-song, even starting sets over.
And I'm playing a lot of dark songs tonight, so sorry. And I don't, you know, it doesn't matter to me whether they're dark or I've already talked about that.
Some people step back, unsure of how to help without enabling him to use drugs. And for a while, Elliott tried to get clean, reaching out and reconnecting with the people he cared about. But the damage was hard to reverse. On October 21st, 2003, at the age of 34, Elliott Smith passed away. His death shook the music industry. Many learned from MTV that this happened, others dismissed it as another Los Angeles rumor until the truth was confirmed. Those who had worked with him, played with him, or simply listened to his music felt the weight of losing someone whose art had quietly influenced so many. Though his story is often framed as a tragedy, it is also the story of a songwriter who built a universe inside his songs, a universe that others can still find comfort, honesty, and connection with to this day.